Hey, this is Andrew Brown, and in this follow along, I want to explore CORS setting for S3. So in order to do this, we're going to have to set up a static website hosting. We're also going to have to open up block public access. We're going to also have to set our, we're going to create a bucket policy. So we've done all this before, but we'll go ahead and, as per usual, I have the AWS examples repo here. Hopefully people are familiar with this by now. And in here, we're going to create a new folder, and this is going to be for CORS. And I hate CORS. CORS always gives me so many problems, and so I'm hoping that we don't have too much trouble here. But we're pretty much making like a mini project, so hopefully you find this part fun. So I'm going to go ahead and say create ourselves a README. I'm going to want to do a couple things. Create a bucket. Create a bucket policy. So we're going to say open. Change block public access. I'm waiting for my Vim hotkeys to kick in because I can't navigate normally. There we go. Okay. Then we also need to turn on static website hosting. Upload our index HTML file. And include a resource that would be cross origin. And then we need to apply a CORS policy. We're going to do this all via the AWS CLI as per usual. So I'm going to go ahead and type in AWS CLI S3 API because it's basically mostly going to be this way. I'm going to go here and say AWS S3 create bucket, make bucket. And this will be s3:// CORS fun AB for my initials. You put whatever you want, and we'll go ahead and create this bucket. I'm going to say allow, paste this down into the CLI down below, which is already pre-installed. And so now we have our ours there. The next thing we want to do is open up our access controls. So we'll say block. I say access controls, block public access is what I meant to say. And then we'll go down to the bottom here and grab this command here and go back, paste it in here. And I only need to enable a few things here. We just want to have the policies. We don't want these. Oh, sorry, we want those to be left alone. I'm going to say false for this one and false for this one. Okay, so now we should be able to access this. We actually have to put the bucket policy name or the bucket the bucket name in here for this to work. I also just like to hug the wall here so that it's a little bit less of a mess when I'm copying these commands. Go ahead and copy this. We'll type in clear. We'll go ahead and paste. We'll hit enter. And so now we'll go back over to our S3. We'll look at that bucket and see if that bucket now has public access. CORS fun is down here. We'll go to properties, and I guess it'd be permissions really. And it's off for those two there. It's not very clear, but if we click into it, we can see that those are checked off. So that is good. The next thing we need to do is create ourselves a bucket policy. We'll go back over to here, to S3 API. We also have to be careful that we're using version 2, though I never seem to really notice any particular difference between the two. We're going to look up bucket policy, and we're going to find put bucket policy. From here, we'll go down below to get an example. I'm going to grab this one. This looks pretty good to me. Okay. In here, I'm going to just make bucket, we'll just say policy, we'll say bucket policy JSON. And over here, this will be bucket policy JSON. We'll grab the bucket name here, paste it in. And so now we need to get one for static website hosting. So I'm just going to type in static website hosting bucket policy, AWS. I would think at some point I would know what it is, but I don't because I always look it up. There it is. That's pretty straightforward. We'll go back over to here. And we'll go here and grab the bucket name, go over to the policy, paste it into its appropriate location. It's just going to get objects for everywhere. So that's pretty straightforward. Very simple bucket policy. Surprised I don't remember that. And we'll go ahead and copy this and paste it in and hit enter. And we will try this again and hit enter. And it cannot find the policy because I'm not in the right directory. So I'll go ahead and switch directories. Sometimes that's why I like using absolute URL so I don't have to remember. We'll go ahead and hit enter. And it says the specified bucket doesn't exist. It doesn't. Did we make a mistake? We'll try this again. We'll paste it in. Oh, I think it was missing a 2 on the end there. Okay. And we'll go ahead and hit enter. The policy is invalid. Do we have the same issue there where we copied the name wrong? Yes, we do. It's missing the 2. We'll go ahead and hit up. Try this again. There we go. We'll go over here and take a look. We'll go over and check the policy. It is there in place. Now, whether that policy is correct or not is a different story. I think it is. We can turn on static website hosting here, probably under properties. If we go to the bottom, if they could stop changing this on us. And so when we enable it, we're going to want to set it to static website hosting, index HTML. I think this is all one AWS command. So what we'll do is go over to here and go back up to S3 API, and we'll look for static website hosting. So I'll just type in static or maybe website. And it'll be on the put. We'll go down below and look at an example. Here we have some kind of example. So we'll grab that. We'll go back to README. We will paste this in here. If I'm going too fast, you'll just have to slow down the video or stop. I apologize. But we need to keep pace here because there's a lot going on. And we'll need a configuration. So I'll go ahead and type that in here. Website, JSON. I'm not sure what it wants for this. Very straightforward. I think it would default to that anyway. So this is going to be the default settings, but we'll provide it just because it probably wants it. We'll go ahead and copy the bucket name here. And we'll paste it in. That looks good to me. We'll go ahead and copy this, put enter. And it looks like it is now there. We'll go back and take a look. We'll give this page a refresh and see if it's actually set. It is now explicitly set. We've seen those are set there, so that is good. Our next step is to upload an index HTML file, so that's what we're going to need. I'm going to go ask ChatGPT to produce something. Or maybe just like boilerplate or template for index HTML file. The reason I'm asking that is because I can never remember the beginner text up here. So I went to Free Code Camp, which is a great place to grab this. I'm going to go ahead and grab this code here. We'll paste it in. And so what I want to do here is I want to include something that is cross account, or sorry, cross loaded from another domain name, right? So I'm just thinking about this for a second. And give me a second to think about this, okay? Okay, so I'm thinking what I want to do is I'm going to serve up a font from another website. So that's what I'm thinking of doing. So I'm going to just take these out of here for now. And I'm going to take this out here. And I'm just going to put some text here. So what do you think of my amazing website? Okay, and I don't care about this. That's fine. So this looks like a decent website. We'll upload this file. So I'm going to say AWS S3 copy index HTML, and then we're going to upload it to this here. Oops. Oops, oops, oops. All right. We'll go ahead here and paste that on in. And so that's going to upload that file. Now I want to get the website URL. So say get the website endpoint for S3. And I wonder if there is a command for that. It's probably like get bucket website. I'm just going to try that and see what we get. So we'll go back up to this command here. I'm just going to change this to get. I'm going to take off the website configuration off the end. And I'm hoping from here we can get that endpoint URL. So we'll go ahead and paste that in, hit enter. No, that's not what I want. Endpoint. How do we get that? URL. Is there a way? How to get the website endpoint URL for... I mean, it's probably based on some convention now that I'm thinking about it. So we can probably just assemble it. We probably have that URL listed somewhere in our slides. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that really quickly. Website. We're just looking for it here. Yeah, so in the slides, it's suggesting either this or that format. So bucket name.s3 website region.amazon aws.com. So I'm going to try those two variants and figure out which one actually works. So we'll go here, view the website, and see if the index.html is there. So this is going to be http:// then our bucket name. So this will be that. Oh, that copy and paste, it just does not like me. Right click copy, right click paste. And from here, we want to have .s3 hyphen website. Now I need to point out, this could be a period or a hyphen. It really depends on your region. So I'm going to try it with a hyphen and say CA Central 1. I think that's where my bucket is. I'm going to go double check and make sure that's the case, because I don't know where we created this. It's very important you know where your bucket is. This one here is here in CA Central 1. Good. So I'm going to go back over to here, and I'm going to try Amazon AWS.com. So this could be wrong because of this one value here. So I'm going to go up and just try it. Nope, that's not what I wanted. We'll say copy, and we'll try this again. Enter. Can't be reached. So I'm going to just change this to a period instead. I think it was right here. Is it working? Is it working? It's not working. Okay, great. So this one needs to have, it's either this or it is this. It will either be this. It's this for CA Central. Other regions might use a hyphen instead. So you're going to just have to fiddle with that and see which one works for you. But it is, as far as I understand, this one here with the period. So now what we need to do is load in a custom font. So I'm going to go over here, and we'll go get a custom font from Google Fonts. And I'm hoping that this is just not going to work. It's going to say, hey, you're not allowed to load this because we don't trust Google Fonts. That's what I'm hoping that it will do. I'm not saying that it actually will do that. We're going to grab this funky one, and we're going to download the font family. Actually, I didn't want to download the font family. I wanted to get the URL. Where is it? Usually there's like an embed that you can get it. Test typer. They keep changing this on me, so I'm not really sure how to grab this. Okay, so if I click that, now it gives me a link. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this link, and I'm hoping that it just does not work. If it works, I'm going to have a problem here, and I'm going to have to try to make a better example. Notice here it says cross origin, so it's doing a pre-connect. So this might be too smart and just work for some darn reason, because the link might allow us to serve something that is cross origin, right? But we'll find out here in a moment. So let's see how we use this font. This is, we'll just dismiss that. This is with the specified CSS rules. Well, where are they? Provide them to me, please. Okay, how do I use them? Reader FAQ. They used to not do that. It used to be right in line. You could just copy and paste it. CSS. This is frustrating. Can I use CSS feature like shadow? Give me a moment to find it, okay? All right, I'm not getting the information here, so I'm just going to try and manually include it. So I'm going to go here and just say style. And I'm just going to try and place it on all objects. Let's just say font family. And I'm just going to write it in here. I'm just going to hope that it works. So it's going to be rubric bubbles. All right, so I'm hoping that that just works. We'll need to upload this file again. So I'm just going back here and re-uploading. Same command. That should replace it. We'll type in clear, and just to clear that up, I'm going to go back over to my website here. I'm going to refresh. And I'm hoping that it doesn't take effect and we get a CORS issue. Now what we can do is we can right click here and go inspect, right? And from here we go to network tab. And the idea is that we can go to all and we can see what it's fetching. So this is not showing anything. I'm going to give this a hard refresh. I'm not exactly sure why this is hanging. It should just instantly work. Usually doesn't hang. Did I lose internet for some weird reason? Nope. So this is going really, really slow. This normally does not happen. Usually it's instantaneous. So we're going to go over to CORS. I'm going to go over to the management, all the way down to the bottom. Nope, properties, I guess. I'm just looking for that that link here, just making sure that I have the correct one. I mean, it looks the same. I'm going to hit enter again. There we go. And it's loading it in. So the thing is that we did use this correctly, but it has this pre-connect cross-origin thing. Okay, so this isn't going to work as a very good example for loading in an external file. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another website, and I'm hoping that from that, we can, from another website, we can then grant it access. So I'm just trying to think about this for a second, because cross-origin is dependent on whether it comes from a different domain. And I think that if it comes from the same subdomain, it will still work. So that's what I need to be sure of, because if we use this, they're going to be on the same domain. Does CORS block subdomains by default? Yes, you have to enable it. You can send to CORS, allow headers from server side to your browser. This is because the subdomain is a different origin. Okay, so if that's the case, we can just create another one, another bucket here with website access, and hopefully that will allow us to simulate that. But clearly this example did not work, but it's okay that we went through that. So we didn't have to apply CORS policy here, so we'll go here and say this will be create website 1, create website 2. We'll go up here, we're going to copy this, we'll go down below, and we'll say CORS fun 2, and we'll go ahead and do this. And what I want to do here is I want to also create another file, but we'll first change some of these options here. So we definitely need these. So we'll copy these 2 commands. Actually, these 3 commands. Actually, these 4 commands. And we'll bring this on down below and paste it in. And I also noticed that we lost our bucket name for one of our commands here, as we probably cut it out by accident. So I'm just going to put this back in here like that. There we go. And we're just going to need to update this to be the new bucket name, which is 2, right? So we'll go here and make this 2. 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 And then we'll scroll on up, and we've created our bucket. The next thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and open those public access block. The bucket does not exist. Well, I remember when I pasted this, it looked like a comma got in there. See, like there? And I'm wondering if it messed up the name at all. It doesn't look like it did. Or we put the 2 in the wrong spot. That's the problem. Okay, so the 2 is supposed to be over here. Sorry. 2. 2. And then we have 2. Okay, great. So we'll try this again. And we will open up the access here. Great. And then we will apply. We need another bucket policy because this is for this one in particular. So we'll say bucket policy 2 JSON. Okay, I'm going to paste that in here. And so we'll put this here like that, 2. And so we'll have to go back over to this one. And so we'll say 2. Great. I'm going to save that. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste this here, hit enter. And then the next thing is turning on static website hosting. I don't know if we actually have to supply website configuration because it will default some of those values. So I'm just going to see if I can turn it on because that's all we really want to do here. We'll hit enter. And it is required. Okay, so I'm going to try this. I'm just going to undo this for a second. Oops. I'm going to just try to pass it an empty JSON object because, again, we just want whatever the defaults are. And if that's fine, it takes that, that's great. Okay, so we do have to specify it, and that's not a big deal. We can use the same policy for this because they're identical, but it's just that I'm not going to actually serve an index.html file. I don't feel like uploading one. What I do want to do is create a JSON file or a JavaScript file, index.js, or sorry, we'll call this hello.js. We'll say console log hello world. And so all that's going to do is print hello world to the console in JavaScript. And then we want to reference that file across of it. So we need to upload our we'll upload our JavaScript file. And so this will be hello.js, and this will be to fun too. So go ahead and upload that. And so now the next question is, can we look at that file in isolate? So I'm going to go here, and we're just going to make our lives a little bit easier. I'm just going to get the URL from here instead of having to try to write it out and assemble it. And we'll go and look for that second bucket. And we'll go into properties, and we'll scroll all the way down to the ground. I'm going to open this up in a new tab. It's not going to complete because there is no index page, but there is a hello.js page. Okay, so this should serve up. All right, and so there it is, the raw stuff for it. And so that is what we want. We want this whole URL, and we're going to go back to our website, and we're going to go into index.html, and we're going to load that in here. So I'm just going to place it at the bottom of the body, and we're going to say script type equals, this is, I believe, is text JavaScript, and then we'll say source, and then it should be this. And so the idea is that it should load this script here and say hello world, but the thing is it should complain and be like, hey, you can't load this, it comes from a different origin. And that's going to hopefully facilitate us being able to check that out. So we'll go back over here, and we need to re-upload that file. So there's that index.html file somewhere here. Here it is. And we'll upload it. So now that it includes that, we're going to go back here to our website. I'm going to close this so you can see what we're doing. I'm in Chrome, by the way. You should really use Chrome. And we'll go right-click, inspect. Firefox will have this. It's way easier in Chrome. Forget Safari. I'm not helping anybody with Safari. Edge uses the same thing as the Chromium engine, so you should have this functionality as well. But what I'm looking for here is it going to try to load that file? So we have hello.js, console log, and we're going to go here, and it's printing it out. So that's working. And I keep expecting to have some kind of CORS issue. So Let me think about this for a second, okay? All right, so my next thought is that maybe if we really want to trigger CORS, we should create an API endpoint using API Gateway. That's all I can think of in order to do this. I'm very adamant that we figure this out because usually we run into CORS issues and we're not here because I'm using too simple of examples. So let's make our way over to API Gateway. And what we'll do is we need to create ourselves an endpoint, an API Gateway that's going to return to us some data. And that's all we want. We just want to have a simple HTTP API server that's going to return something. And I want to do that on a post or put request. So we can use HTTP API, we can use REST API. And so what I'm thinking here is we can try to build this out here. I'm just trying to decide here if I go build. I'm just looking at it very closely because all I want to do is I don't really want to integrate Lambda. I just want to return a mocked value. So can we return a mock value from API Gateway HTTP? HTTP, and I'm not sure if that can do it. I know REST can do it. REST API. API Gateway supports, but this is under REST, right? So notice here that Gateway has two different modes, REST and HTTP. So I think that's the way we're going to have to do it. So yeah, let's just use this through the console and do it that way. So we're going to make a new REST API. Don't worry, this is all free tier. And what do we have as an example? This example has a get path. I really want something that is, like, has a put and not a get. So I'm going to go here and create a new API. I'm going to just call it CORS Fun API. And this will be a regional endpoint or deployed in the current region. So we're in CA Central 1. Make sure this is the same region as your bucket. And we'll go ahead and we'll just go and create ourselves a new resource. I'm going to call this example or maybe hello. And I'm going to go ahead and create that resource. They've changed the UI since I've been last here, and I haven't done the API Gateway refresh, so I am a little bit unfamiliar with this new UI. But we have the hello path. And what I want to do is I want to create a method. Here we go. And I want to mock it. I'm going to go ahead and do this on the post. Yep, and we'll go ahead and say create this method. And what I want to do is I want to return mock data. So somewhere in here, we should be able to specify the mock data. So here we can manipulate the request, and here we can manipulate the response. I would think that we could change the response here. Like this isn't an option, we can't change this. So it must be here, method response. That's what I'm thinking. We can look at integration response. This is for mapping different values as it passes through. So I think that it probably is here. This has a 200 response, which is what we want. And this might say, hey, we want application JSON back, which makes sense. But where's the body? That's what I want to see. Add model. No. Oh, well, this is the response body. Empty, error. It seems like we have to choose a model. Let's go back here. It's like model. Yeah, okay. So this is the default empty schema. If we create this model here. What do we get here? What does this one give? Let's take a look here. Properties, type, string. Not exactly what I wanted. Let's go back over to here. And we'll go back to method response. I think this would just create an additional one. No, we don't want that. We want to, again, manipulate this, this response here, because I just want to return back some data, right? And so in here, again, for method response, response body. So it must be something to do with this model. Let's go back over to models. and we'll create a new one, and we'll just call it example application JSON. We'll look up REST API models, API gateway, and understanding the mapping templates. That's not what I want. Responses. Give me a second to find this, okay? All right, so in the documentation under mock integration, it's suggesting that we're actually looking under the integration response tab, and this is where we can supply additional information under template body. So let's see if that's the case. I'm going to go back over to resources here. We're going to go back into post. We're going to go to integration response. And apparently in here, we can change some stuff. So we'll go ahead and hit edit. Obviously it's pass-through, that's totally fine. Mapping templates. So I'm imagining this is where we can change our template. So this is basically any kind of JSON we want. I'm going to go here and just say message, hello world. And so this is what I want to try to get is this response back here. I'll go ahead and save this. Now we change that. We got to go ahead and deploy our API for this to take effect. We'll create a new stage here. We'll call this prod, and we'll go ahead and deploy that. That's going to give us a new URL, which is right here. This is how we're going to invoke this endpoint. This should be open up to everywhere, I think. So I don't think we need to do anything special to access this, but we are going to need a way of querying this. So I'll go down here and say, create API gateway with mock response, and then test the endpoint. And so I want to test this endpoint, and we can use that using curl or wget. So I'm going to get some help from ChatGPT because I don't want to write that from hand. We'll say provide or do a curl against this URL for post and pass along application JSON for headers. Okay, so it should understand what I'm saying there. Okay, I'm not asking you to actually do it. I'm just asking, there you go, okay. And so the content type is specified there. Sometimes you have to also specify another value, but that should be enough. I'm gonna go ahead and grab this. This is pretty standard, so it really depends if our, what is here. So if we have curl, we can do it, so it does. Sometimes you have wget, sometimes you have to install curl. Again, use these cloud developer environments like Gitpod or Codespaces or whatever because they come preloaded with all this stuff here. And so this is the command we want to run. I can keep it one line, I guess. And this actually has a point here saying /hello. So we're going to need to put hello on the end here. And let's go ahead and curl that. And we should get back that JSON response. So we do. So that works. That's really good. Now the question is, can we grab this and apply it into our index.html? So what we'll do here, this index.js is completely useless. So this is no longer of any use to us. So I'm going to go ahead and just take this out of here. Well, not exactly. I'll take out the source. But what I want to do is I want to write an HTTP request that's going to grab to query for this, okay? So I'm going to look up and say XHR request post example JS. And I'm looking for a very plain one. We'll use Mozilla's because they'll give us a very plain example. And so here's a GET request, here's a POST request. We'll go ahead and copy that. We could have asked ChatGPT, but I really don't want to because it might give us some varying results. And I want something that's very consistent. So I'm going to go grab this here and paste it in. And so we have an XHR request. This is, of course, JavaScript. And so now we need to place our URL in here. So we'll go back to our documentation. We'll grab this full link. We'll copy it. And I'm going to go ahead and paste this in. Okay. And I'm going to go and indent here. And I'm going to go bring this in here now. Okay, and we're going to carefully look at this. So we have the post to here. It's going to set a content type. This is supposed to be application JSON, I believe. Yep. JSON. And then on ready state, that's fine. It's going to just say that it's done when it's done there. And I mean, we want to send. I don't want to send anything to it, so I'm just going to do this. But I want to parse the JSON. So the JSON will get returned back somewhere in here. I'm not sure if they actually provided that there. They didn't. So we'll say XHR request application JSON post example, because that wasn't very useful for us. Let's try W3 schools. This looks like what I want, so I'm going to grab just this part here. And we're going to go back over to here. And I'm going to go down a line. I'm going to paste this in here. And so this should be more or less the same. I'm just not sure if this is 4 and this is 200. So the thing is, for and done are the same thing. So this is identical. This one's actually better because it's using 3 equals and it's using a modern function. All I want here is this one line here. And I'll get rid of this other function here since we don't need it. And we don't need that. There we go. And we don't need to pass anything in here. So what I want is I want to get the response text and parse it as JSON. So my response, I'll just say results. And I'm just going to console log those results. I'll change this to const results. Results. Again, you know, if you don't know JavaScript or coding very well, that's okay. Just continue on and do the best you can to just get this code right or copy and paste it to get it to work. So this should send a request. We're going to have to update this and send this to our page. So we'll go up to our Stack website hosting, which is somewhere here. And we are going to upload that file. Make sure that it's not the 2 because we clearly have more than one. We'll hit enter. Great. We're going to go back over to my website. I want to point out that sometimes these pages cache. So make sure that you have disable cache on here because this might not take effect if you do. If you're not sure how to get to this, right click, inspect, network tab, disable cache. We're going to give this a hard refresh. Now notice we get a CORS issue. Hooray! I've never been so happy to get a CORS issue. Normally I'm unhappy to get them, but they don't always happen on GET requests. Generally, the idea is that they happen on posts, puts, and there is this pre-flight check that goes out to confirm that you are allowed to do CORS here. So to get this to work, we not only might need to set CORS on the bucket, but we might also have to set CORS via API gateway to return it. And this is where CORS gets hard because we end up fiddling with it a bunch. So what I want to do here is I want to now set a CORS policy. So we're going to go and find one here. I'm just going to close out some of these tabs. And we're going to look for the CORS command. And we're going to go down to examples. And we have a very nice example here. So we'll go ahead and grab that. I'm going to go back over to our developer environment. And now I want to set CORS on our bucket. This is super exciting. So we're going to need our bucket name. This one has the 2 in it, so I'll have to just change that out so it does not have the 2. And we'll have a CORS file in here. So I'm going to go ahead and say new file, CORS JSON. We're going to go and grab this code, cut it, go over to CORS, paste it, go back, delete this part. We'll go back over here. And so we're just going to say we want to allow from another origin. Here the origin is going to be this. So we're going to grab this and go back and we'll paste it in. Okay, notice we're not putting the /, we just want the origin, which is this, right? And what I'm always confused about is whether you want the HTTP or HTTPS. Luckily, they showed us in the example, so we don't have to guess anymore. Notice we're allowing for the put, the post, and the delete. And I mean, this one's showing the X server-side encryption. I don't really know if we need that. It's not going to hurt it by having that there, so I'm just going to leave it in. And then this one allows for an authorization header. That's if you're doing authorization. That's a little bit more complex. But we have this, and so let's go ahead and apply this CORS policy. So go ahead and copy this, paste this in down below. And that should be applied. We'll double check, make sure that is the case. And we'll go over to permissions here. And it looks like it is good. So I'm happy with that. But the question is that going to make CORS work right away, or do we have to fiddle with API Gateway? So we'll go back over here, and I'm going to close this tab out. We're going to go to our website, give it a hard refresh. And notice that it's still having an issue, okay? So the thing is that when you do CORS, it's going to send a pre-flight request, and it's expecting to get back that it has particular headers. And so that's what we need to do for API Gateway. So what we're going to do is go here, and I think there's an easy way to enable CORS on a method. I'm just trying to find it here. We're in stages right now, so we got to go back to resources, and we'll click here, and it should be able to apply CORS. They changed the API, so I'm trying to find it. Here it is, enable CORS. I really only want it on this method, but it looks like we have to do it right here. So I guess these are like the methods, and then this is the resource. So we'll enable CORS, and this will set some default CORS. So notice here that it's passing, it's setting up these allow access control origins. So let's just go Google that really quickly, and we'll go to the the Mozilla docs. And so the idea is that we need to send a request, a pre-flight request, and it's expecting to get these headers back. And if we get these headers back, then it's going to allow CORS to work, if that makes sense. So this looks good. It says from everywhere. We just have some additional headers. I don't care about those. We're going to allow for post, access control, allow methods. And the reason that we only have post here is because we don't have put or delete. If we created methods on this resource, then I think it would show that to us. We'll configure CORS for the selected gateway responses. I don't think we're worried about 400 or 500, so we'll go ahead and hit save. And so now CORS has been enabled. I don't trust this API is up to date, so I'm going to go ahead and hit deploy API. Make sure you do this, because if you don't, it might not work. And we'll go back over to our website. Fingers crossed. Okay, fingers crossed. Let's hope this works. And we'll go ahead and hit refresh, and it works. And notice down below here, it returns the data, so we're getting the data back. That's working. Our JavaScript has a little bit of an issue. It says undefined is not valid JSON, so it's having a little bit of trouble. We don't need to really fix it. We've solved CORS here, and we've used it. But let's go ahead and see if we can just kind of make this work, because I don't like doing things and not having them work. Now, we have a this in here, so probably what we want is XHR instead. I'm not sure. We'll go back here and say XHR request JSON application example. And I'm just looking for that example. We saw web W3 schools, because here it was referencing this here. And so it should automatically bind to this object, but I think we can write XHR right here and it should work, because that's the same thing. We assign it here. We should be able to get it from there. I don't think it makes a difference. So what I want to do is upload this again. Okay. Again, if you don't have cache disabled, it might not detect those changes. We'll give it a refresh. And we got a different error, so that's good. But now it says expected property name of curly for position 4 in JSON. Let's go look at our JSON. Our JSON is fine. That looks totally fine. We didn't wrap this with a string on the message. I don't think that matters, though. And we'll go take a look here again. So this is fine. This is fine. I'm going to go back to API Gateway. We're going to go here and take a look at our post. Notice now that there's an option. So that's probably for the CORS. Unless it was there before, I don't know. No, it definitely wasn't there before. So we'll go down here, we'll edit our response. And I didn't put double quotations around here, so I'm just gonna do this and see if this helps it. Another thing is that it might want all these things escaped. I'm not sure, but we'll go ahead and save this. We'll go ahead and deploy again. We'll choose our stage prod, we'll deploy. We'll go back here, we'll give this a hard refresh. And now the data returns back. Does it even show here? Let's see here. Give this another hard refresh. And we'll check the post. So no complaints still. Oh, now it's printing out. So I guess that actually did matter. So that was causing an issue, but notice that it's posting out results and not actually the results of the file here. So I think we just have one minor mistake here. We'll hit up, re-upload that file. We'll go back to our website, make sure disable cache is on, hard refresh, and now it prints it out. So there you go. We were able to work with CORS. The thing to remember is you're going to run into CORS mostly when accessing server-side information, and you have to return those CORS headers. So hopefully that is very clear, and we will see you in the next one. But before we do, actually, we should probably tear down all these resources because I don't want you to expedite any of your free tier credits. So the first thing we want to do is tear down the stage. So say prod and delete that, or confirm, I guess, here. And once the stage is teared down, we'll go over here and see if we can tear down the actual API, because sometimes it won't let you tear it down unless you have the stage down first. And so now that one should be gone. I'm going to double check, make sure it's gone. It is. Excellent. And now we just have a bunch of buckets we need to empty and get rid of. I mean a bunch, I mean two. And we're going to do this via the console because I don't want to fiddle with the CLI and try to remember everything we uploaded. So we have two here. I'm going to give this a hard refresh. So we have AB2. So we're going to empty that bucket. Okay, I'm going to go back to our buckets. I'm going to go to AB that doesn't have anything specified, 1. I'm going to empty that bucket as well. And we'll go back over to here, buckets, and we will delete this one, delete. And we'll go back over to this bucket, and we will delete. Okay. And so now we're all cleaned up. We deleted our API gateway. We deleted our buckets. So yeah, there you go. I know that one was a bit longer, but at least it taught us the limitations or where we should expect to see CORS and where we're not going to expect to see CORS. So CORS example. But yeah, you tend to hate CORS because getting the configuration can be difficult. But this time it was extremely easy. So we're very, very lucky. But we'll see you in the next one. Ciao.